First contact, first blood. The Kaziri Collective had explored thousands of worlds across 7 galactic sectors. Their civilization, 3 millennia beyond Earth's technological capabilities, had encountered primitive species before. Always, the protocol remained the same: observe, assess, and, if the species showed sufficient promise, carefully guide their development toward peaceful integration into the greater galactic community. Earth was supposed to be no different. Commander Vexlar stood on the observation deck of the survey vessel Harmonious Discovery, watching the blue-green planet rotate slowly beneath them. His scaled skin reflected the dim blue light of the deck as he flicked through holographic reports with a 3-fingered hand. Quite beautiful, isn't it? Science Officer Kellamora joined him at the viewport, her large, multifaceted eyes catching the light. Though rather turbulent atmospheric conditions. Vexlar nodded. The 4th planetary survey we've conducted in this system. The species appears to be in a pre-interstellar development phase, but something about them troubles me. The conflicts? Kellamora asked. Yes, most species at this technological stage have moved beyond territorial aggression. These humans, however, he gestured to a display showing satellite imagery of military installations across Earth's surface. They dedicate extraordinary resources to weaponry, even as parts of their population suffer from resource scarcity. Perhaps it's merely a phase, Kellamora suggested. Our own ancestors once fought over resources before the Great Enlightenment. Perhaps. Vexlar didn't sound convinced. But did your ancestors design over 15,000 different ways to kill each other? The science officer fell silent. Commence the first contact protocol, Vexlar ordered. Small team, uninhabited region, minimal technological footprint. We observe, we don't interfere. 26 hours later, everything went wrong. The communication officer's voice cracked with strain. Commander, we've lost contact with the ground team. Vexlar rushed to the command center, where chaos had erupted. Displays showed scattered emergency signals from the 6-member team that had landed in what humans called the Movav Desert, a remote location chosen specifically to avoid detection. What happened? Vexlar demanded. Unknown, sir. Last transmission indicated they were being observed by humans. Then silence. How? Our stealth technology should have. They found us anyway, interrupted Security Chief Dravker, his facial ridges flushed dark with concern. And sir, we're detecting aircraft approaching the landing site. Primitive combustion-based propulsion, but they're moving with purpose. Impossible, Vexlar muttered. They shouldn't have the capability to detect our landing craft. And yet, Dravker said grimly, they did. The rescue mission was hastily assembled. 12 of the collective's finest warriors, armed with non-lethal suppression technology. They would retrieve their comrades and retreat without escalation. The Kaziri did not wage war. They hadn't needed to for over 10,000 years. Only 3 returned. Vexlar could only watch in stunned silence as the survivors staggered from the return shuttle, one missing an arm, another with burns across half his body. They were waiting, gasped the least injured survivor, a veteran scout named Rilfar. The humans. They knew we were coming. How? Vexlar demanded. What happened to the others? Dead. Captured. The humans. Rilfar's eyes went unfocused with horror. They used our own technology against us. The first team's equipment. They must have studied it within hours. They had already adapted their weapons to penetrate our shielding. The medical team rushed the survivors to treatment, leaving Vexlar frozen in disbelief. Impossible, Kellamora whispered beside him. No species could reverse engineer our technology so quickly. It would take years, decades of study. Get me everything, Vexlar ordered. Every scrap of information about human history, every conflict, every war. I want to understand what we're dealing with. The data streamed in over the next 12 hours. Earth's historical archives, intercepted and translated, painted a picture that left the entire command crew in stunned silence. by the founders. Kellamora breathed as she studied the displays. They've been at war continuously for their entire recorded history, not just between nations, but between ideologies, religions, even economic systems. Look at this. Dravker pointed to another display. World War IA. They went from primitive propeller aircraft to jet engines, from basic radio to radar, from simple fission theory to atomic weapons, in 6 years. And here, another analyst added, the Cold War arms race. Both sides developing intercontinental ballistic missiles, space technology, advanced computing, all driven by the desire to destroy each other more efficiently. Vexlar stared at the casualty figures from humanity's conflicts. Millions upon millions dead, yet they kept fighting, kept innovating. The world wars, Vietnam, countless regional conflicts, each one driving technological advancement at a pace that the peaceful Kizuri could barely comprehend. They don't just adapt to war, he realized aloud. They evolve through it. Every conflict pushes them to develop new weapons, new strategies, new technologies. On the main display, footage from the failed rescue mission played silently. Humans in desert camouflage moving with practiced precision, adapting on the fly to alien technology they'd never seen before, communicating wordlessly through gestures and expressions that spoke of countless hours of training. Commander, the communications officer interrupted. We're receiving a transmission from the surface. It's in our language. The bridge fell silent as a human voice filled the room. To the alien vessel in Earth orbit, we have your people. We have your technology. We know you're watching. If you want war, we'll give you war. If you want peace, return to your stars and never come back. Vexlar felt a chill run through his body. They've already deciphered our language. How is that possible? Commander, Security Chief Dravker said quietly, I recommend immediate withdrawal. These humans, they're unlike anything in our records. Agreed. Vexlar nodded slowly. But first, send one final transmission. The message was simple. An apology for the intrusion and a promise to depart. No threats, no demands. As the harmonious Discovery broke orbit, Vexlar stood alone on the observation deck, watching Earth recede into the distance. What are you? He whispered to the blue planet. Not just violent animals, something more. Something terrifying. In his hand, he held the final analysis prepared by the science team. The conclusion was stark. Humans had not merely survived war. They had been forged by it. Each conflict refined their tactics, their technology, their very thinking. Where the Kizuri saw tragedy and conflict, humans found opportunity. Where the collective sought harmony, Earth's denizens thrived in chaos. The report ended with a recommendation that would send shockwaves through the collective. Earth was to be classified as a death world, home to a species that had evolved not despite warfare, but because of it. As the ship entered faster than light travel, Vexlar made another decision. The humans would not be forgotten. They would be studied from a safe distance, because one day the galaxy might need creatures who had mastered the art of war. Or, more terrifying still, one day the humans might venture out into the stars themselves, and the peaceful species of the galaxy would need to be prepared. The dance of death. 5 years passed before the Kizuri Collective returned to Earth's solar system. Not with a single ship this time, but with a diplomatic fleet, 7 vessels designed to impress rather than intimidate, led by the majestic Stellar Concord. Ambassador Talura stood before the Collective Council, her ceremonial robes flowing around her slender frame. Unlike the military personnel who had first encountered Earth, Talura was a diplomat with centuries of experience mediating between vastly different species. The humans have advanced considerably since our last contact, she informed the Council. They've reproduced several elements of our technology, though imperfectly. More concerning, they've united their military forces to an unprecedented degree. United against us, growled Councillor Vrektar, the oldest member and a noted conservative. They perceive us as a threat. With justification, Tellura countered. Our first contact was poorly executed. We must rectify that mistake. And if they attack? Another counselor asked. Tellura's expression remained serene. Then we retreat. This mission is about understanding, not conquest. I studied their history extensively. Despite their warlike nature, humans respond well to honest communication. The Council voted, narrowly approving Tellura's diplomatic mission. Commander Vexlar, now promoted after his prudent handling of the first contact disaster, was assigned as military liaison, a role he accepted with visible reluctance. I've seen what they can do with primitive projectile weapons, he told Tellura privately. I shudder to think what they've accomplished with 5 years of studying our technology. Then we must ensure they see no need to use those weapons against us, she replied. The diplomatic fleet established orbit around Mars rather than Earth, a gesture of respect for human territory, and transmitted their arrival in all major Earth languages. The response came within hours, a cautious invitation to land at a remote facility in what humans called neutral territory, Antarctica. The landing party consisted of Tellura, Vexlar, and 4 specialists. Their shuttle descended through Earth's atmosphere, buffeted by the planet's powerful winds. Impressive construction, Vexlar noted as the human facility came into view. They built this in under a year, in one of the most hostile environments on their planet. Adaptability, Tellura said, their defining characteristic. The welcome committee awaited them in a pressurized hangar. 12 humans representing various Earth nations, half of them military officers, half scientists and political leaders. Armed guards lined the walls, a precaution Tellura had expected. What she hadn't expected was the human who stepped forward first, a middle-aged woman with steel-gray hair and eyes that seemed to see through Tellura's carefully composed diplomatic facade. I am Dr. Eleanor Chen, appointed representative of the United Earth Council, she said in flawless Kazuri. Welcome to Earth, or welcome back, I should say. Tellura bowed in the formal Kazuri greeting. I am Ambassador Tellura of the Kazuri Collective. We come seeking understanding and, if possible, reconciliation. An interesting choice of words, Dr. Chen replied. 5 years ago, your people came uninvited, lost a conflict, and fled. Now you return with a fleet. Some might consider that threatening. It is a diplomatic fleet, Vexlar interjected, designed to demonstrate the peaceful nature of our civilization. A military officer beside Dr. Chen gave a short, humorless laugh. Peaceful civilizations don't need fleets. General Davis, Chen scolded gently. Let's allow our guests to explain themselves before we judge their intentions. The negotiations began cautiously. The humans were direct, occasionally blunt in ways that shocked the Kazuri diplomats. They demanded explanations for the first contact, reparations for what they termed technological theft, and guarantees against future incursions. But beneath the demands, Tellura sensed something else. Curiosity. The humans were just as interested in understanding the Kazuri as the aliens were in comprehending humanity's warlike nature. On the 3rd day, Dr. Chen invited Tellura to tour a research facility adjacent to the diplomatic compound. There, humans were studying and improving upon the technology recovered from the first contact mission. You've made remarkable progress, Tellura observed, watching a demonstration of a modified Kazuri energy converter that now operated at 30% higher efficiency than the original design. Necessity drives innovation, Chen replied. When we realized we weren't alone in the universe, and that our visitors might not be friendly, we redirected considerable resources to understanding your technology. You assumed we would return as conquerors. Chen's eyes met Tellura's. Wouldn't you, in our position? Your people came without invitation, concealed yourselves, and when discovered, responded with force. A misunderstanding, Tellura insisted. The Kazuri have not engaged in conquest for 10 millennia. Perhaps that's the difference between us, Chen said thoughtfully. You've forgotten how to fight. We never had that luxury. Later that evening, as the diplomatic team reviewed the day's proceedings, an alarm shattered the quiet. Vexillar's communicator flashed urgently. "The Stellar Concorde is under attack." The ship's captain reported frantically. "3 vessels, Khaziri design but modified. Ambassador, they're using our own weapons against us." Talura exchanged a horrified look with Vexillar. "Who ruled?" "Rogue elements," Vexillar said grimly. "The Military Preservation Front. They opposed this mission from the beginning. They believe the only way to protect the collective is to eliminate potential threats before they can emerge." "They're attacking without provocation," Talura whispered. "This will confirm every fear the humans have about us." The door to their quarters burst open. General Davis stood there, flanked by armed soldiers. "Your ships are firing on our orbital defenses, Ambassador." "Explain." "Now." Talura stepped forward, hands raised. "Not our ships, General. Rogue elements from our civilization who oppose peaceful contact. We had no knowledge of this attack." "Convenient," Davis growled. "It's the truth," Vexillar insisted. "And your people are in danger. The Military Preservation Front will not stop with orbital defenses. They'll target population centers next, to demonstrate their power." Davis studied them for a long moment, then raised a communication device. "Chen, are you hearing this?" "I am," came the scientist's voice, "and I believe them. The attacking ship's energy signatures differ from the diplomatic fleet's." "What do you propose?" Davis asked Talura. "Let us contact our fleet," she replied without hesitation. "Together, we can stop them." What followed was unlike anything in Khaziri history. The diplomatic fleet, joined by human orbital defenses, moved against the rogue Khaziri vessels. The battle in Earth's orbit lasted less than an hour. From the Antarctic Command Center, Talura watched in awe as humans coordinated the defense with remarkable efficiency. They adapted their strategies on the fly, compensating for technological disadvantages with sheer tactical brilliance. "The lead vessel is targeting New York," a human officer reported. "Nuclear-level energy signature detected in their main weapon. Intercept course plotted." Another responded calmly. "Sacrificial drones deployed to absorb initial blast." Talura turned to Chen. "Your people, they're so composed in the face of potential destruction." "This is what we do," Chen replied simply. "This is who we are." When the battle ended, 2 of the rogue vessels had been destroyed. The third, critically damaged, attempted to flee but was captured by a daring maneuver from the human orbital defense force, a tactic so unorthodox that Vexillar could only shake his head in disbelief. They sent pilots out in minimal protection to physically attach transport inhibitors to the hull, he explained to Talura. No Khaziri would even conceive of such a strategy, let alone volunteer for it. In the aftermath, as casualties were counted and damages assessed, Talura found herself in a quiet moment with Dr. Chen. "Your people saved many lives today," Chen acknowledged, "both human and Khaziri." "As did yours," Talura responded. "I begin to understand something about humanity that our initial observations missed. You are not merely creatures of war. You fight fiercely, yes, but you fight to protect." Chen smiled faintly. "The best warriors hope never to use their skills, Ambassador, but they maintain them nonetheless, because the universe is vast and not always kind." "The Khaziri forgot that truth," Talura admitted. "We have been fortunate in our corner of the galaxy, perhaps too fortunate." The diplomatic talks resumed with a new tone, one of cautious respect on both sides. The humans still maintained their vigilance, but they listened more openly to Khaziri perspectives. The Khaziri, in turn, began to see humanity not as a frightening anomaly, but as being shaped by a harsher evolutionary path. On the final day of negotiations, a framework for future relations was established. The Khaziri would share certain technologies, medical advances, environmental restoration techniques, while humanity would remain sovereign in their solar system. Future contact would be carefully structured, with clear protocols to prevent misunderstandings. As Talera prepared to depart, Chen presented her with a small wooden box. A gift, the human explained, from one species to another. Inside was a simple bronze medallion showing Earth, with tiny figures standing upon it, faces turned upward toward stars. It bears an inscription from one of our philosophers, Chen said. We are what circumstance has made us, but we become what we choose to be. Talera closed her hand around the medallion. I believe your species will become something remarkable, Dr. Chen. Perhaps the universe needs those who remember how to fight, and when not to. As the Kaziri shuttle lifted off from Antarctica, Talera watched Earth's horizon curve below them, blue and white, and achingly beautiful. A world that had forged its dominant species through fire and blood, creating beings who could be both terribly destructive and profoundly compassionate. The report she would deliver to the Collective Council was already taking shape in her mind. Humanity was dangerous, yes, but not in the way they had first feared. They were dangerous because they had mastered the dance between creation and destruction, between war and peace. And perhaps, Talera reflected as Earth diminished beneath them, perhaps that was exactly what the galaxy needed.